From February 1692 until May 1693, men and women from Salem, Massachusetts were accused of practicing the dark art of witchcraft. Strangely enough, most of them were innocent, save for a few that did make deals with devils. You heard that correctly. There isn't just one devil brokering deals with humans. Many of you have heard the tales of Lucifer Morningstar, the perfect angel. Beautiful, cunning, and believed himself to be God's equal. He was the first to strike a deal with humans, only shortly after their creation. Before we continue to elaborate on which devils made which deals in Salem, there are a few things to keep in mind. God played a much larger role in the trials than you might think. Not only is he responsible for the Puritans and their archaic ideology, but he has allowed deals to be made between devils and humans for centuries, starting in the beginning. When Lucifer came to the Garden of Eden, he wasn't a snake, but a beautiful being, androgynous in nature with eyes as black as onyx, refined and gleaming. It also wasn't just Eve who was enchanted by the morning star, as Adam was the first to approach. Meanwhile, God watched Lucifer work his deal right there in the garden, begging the question, why did he allow him in? The common thought is that God always wanted humans to have free will, but that's too convenient. We believe that the one above felt as if his creation could resist the beautiful and silver-tongued morning star. It would seem that God, in his prideful ways, forgot what he created Lucifer Morningstar to be: perfect in every way. The first humans couldn't resist the charms of the gift-giver and fell right into his clutches, dooming humanity for eternity. The first deal was followed by the cascade of devils making deals with humans. What happened in Salem was no different than a standard deal. Meeting at a crossroads is one way to summon a devil, but to summon the right devil takes a bit more skill. You'll need to know the name of who you wish to deal with. Otherwise you could end up with the voodoo loa Papa Legba. Papa Legba is known as a great intermediary between humans and the Iwa, but the witches in Salem weren't looking for the Iwa. They needed Astaroth. You likely didn't know this, but God's Holy Trinity isn't the only triarchy out there. There is an Unholy Trinity, led by Lucifer, and with him are Beelzebub and Astaroth. All devils can make deals, but Astaroth is particularly familiar with humans, after Lucifer set him upon Dr. Faustus in the 16th century. From that point on, Astaroth became one of Lucifer's best recruiters of souls, starting with a man that wished to see further than any man had seen before, Hans Lippershey. Now, Lippershey was accredited with inventing the telescope after making his deal. The devil was more than clever at that time, as he sold the same deal with a slight twist to a man who went on to create the three laws of motion. In Salem, there was no wish for knowledge. This time, humans wanted power. The power that only the devils could use. See, humans have an insatiable need to gain the power of gods and devils. Being born mortal, these petty humans struggle with their mortality and existentialism. You can credit their overactive appetites to the first deal made at the Tree of Knowledge. But I digress. Let us return to the cursed history of Salem, in particular, following Bridget Bishop, Salem's broker and persecutor. Although time can wash away memories, some of us still remember these deals. Bridget Bishop, an astute woman with lofty goals, was the first of many. During her time on Earth, Bishop hoped for fortune and got it by embodying the term Black Widow. You see, Bishop was married 3 times before she was hanged, and each time she married, she increased her station. Her ability to move up the social and financial ladder was due to the deal she made the night before her first wedding, on April 13, 1660. This deal didn't take place in Salem, but there is no way to run from devils. On April 12, 1660, Bridget Bishop prepared herself to summon Astaroth. She went to a crossroads just outside the church she was to be married inside the following day, St. Mary in the Marsh in Norfolk, England. The location was beautifully chosen, and a lamppost, which still stands today, marked the crossroads. There are many ways to summon devils, but most of what you'll hear now is erroneous, created by those who call themselves Satanists, but know nothing of the morning star. Summoning is simple. Just as the one above knows your heart, so do we. Bishop sat under the lamppost, left her gifts in the middle of the crossroads with Astaroth's seal, and waited. Hours passed, but in her heart she sought whom she wished to speak to the entire time. Summoning isn't always about the items or the ritual. It's about how long you're willing to wait to get what you want. As she sat under the lamppost, she began to see the fire dim and flicker. Wind from the west began to breeze past her, taking a leaf from a nearby oak tree past her lips and in the direction of the church. As she followed the leaf with her eyes, her thoughts of the ritual left her heart. This was her moment. Had she followed the leaf back to the church, she would have never met Astaroth. Instead, she turned back to the crossroads, and there he stood. Astaroth has been described as many things, first being depicted in 1557 as a great and strong duke in the shape of a foul angel sitting upon a dragon and carrying on his right hand a viper. These vibrant descriptions are the exact opposite of how devils appear to humans. Would you sign your life away to a grotesque angel upon a dragon who carries a serpent? No! On this day, Astaroth mirrored Bridget Bishop, an exact copy down to the last detail. When she approached, she furiously rubbed her eyes, taken aback by what stood in front of her. When she moved closer, as did Astaroth, until only a breath was between them. Her request was simple.
Astaroth, Duke of the Nine Circles, I wish that each man I marry die, and leave me his belongings. Do this, and you will not only have my soul, but the souls I recruit to your cause.
Astaroth replied in Bishop's own voice.
Child, the cause I serve is to a being higher than myself. Provide tribute to him, and you shall have what you desire. From this day to your last, keep him in your heart, and in the hearts of others.
Bishop asked,
Will they love me?
Astaroth replied, smiling through the hood over his head.
My dear, your husbands will love you so dearly, they'll go into the night knowing it is their last, knowing you are responsible, but they will go anyway. To them, you will be beautiful and dreadful, a terror they're forced to love so deeply they'd rather die than lose you, which they will.
Bishop closed her eyes for a moment, and heat began to fill her heart. With that, the deal that doomed Salem was struck. Bishop was the first of many witches in Salem. 2 of her husbands died, and she gained their wealth, just as Astaroth promised. She kept her promise at first too, bringing more women to various crossroads to make the same deal she made. The problem is, 5 of these women betrayed her and renounced the Morningstar, he who grants all gifts. They told lies at Bishop's trial, accusing her of bewitching them, although the truth is that they eagerly awaited at the crossroads for me. Such hate in their heart that I favored Bishop more than them.
I knew they would betray her. I warned her even, but she was so fascinated by the Welven status. She lost sight of what I told her when we first met. The day that Welven riches overtook his space in her heart is the day she doomed Salem. As she hanged, I took her soul and brought it back to the Morningstar. Her eyes bulging from the strain of the rope around her neck.
But the Morningstar wasn't finished with her yet, and sent her back to Salem as a devil. Bridget exacted her revenge by having 19 others put to death under the banner of witchcraft, with each soul being delivered directly to him. She still waits in the woods for others, repeating her plea to the judges.
I never saw these persons before, nor I never was in this place before.